Hey, good morning. This is Geoff Sherlock from Sherlock Landscaping. We do all sorts of work in the landscaping realm. So we've got 12 guys and we do building and construction landscaping work, but we also do a lot of garden maintenance and cleanups. And in this case, we'd call this a huck out. Things have gotten a bit overgrown. Figured this was the easiest way, since you're overseas, to show you some of the things that are happening at your property, and then that way we can talk to you about what you'd like us to do. Hey, thanks very much. Come have a look. Yeah, just inside the mouth of the driveway, you're sort of struck by a bit of an average picture of what's going on around here. You can see a lot of these need deadheading and cutting back, really. And then a lot of these flaxes, there are a lot of flaxes on the property. They've all got a lot of dead stuff in them. They need to be tidied out. And just overall, there's kind of a lot of clutter and pushing together of plants going on. What's interesting with the driveway, and you can see over here, is that it's become very, very mossy and it's very slippery. So we would spray this with a chemical called Wet and Forget, which will kill all of this, and then we can get the water blasters into it and clean it all out. And there's just a few spots in the driveway where it's sort of moved a little bit, nothing major, but I mean, there's some spare pavers of these over in a little shed around the back that we could cut a few slivers and fit them in if you wanted to and fix that up. The entranceway is pretty cool. For me though, things like an entranceway need to be clear of your face. So I'd want to be taking away a lot of these things here which kind of feel intrusive on me. And then, you know, in here really it's just a general tidy because it's quite nice. You could biff a few more ferns and things in here if you wanted to, but it's pretty sweet. These are interesting. These pop up all over the place. These are really nice, and someone's spent a lot of money landscaping this place at some stage. These are all Quella hardwood, and somehow or another they've done it where they've hidden the fixings. So it would mean that you could sand this up and restain this and make this look pretty amazing if you wanted to. I'd probably run around and water blast all of the concrete edging because it's just all got a bit tired and dotty. Once again, more just seeing signs of this sort of thing. When a flax gets to this sort of stage, it's too hard to kind of clean it up. So we'd just rip those out, and then, you know, we can decide to do something here later. If you look up here, this large tree, which is a Putakawa or a rata by the looks of things, it's quite close to some overhead power lines. So I'd suggest that while we get the opportunity, we go up there and we just take the top out of that. Quite a few of the taller trees in this property really do need to be topped. This old Pittosporum here, for instance, I'd possibly even consider taking out, but see how it's thinned out a lot? It hasn't been topped and kept compact and healthy. It's been let get too big. So maybe if it was me, I'd take that out because there's a nice tree here next to it which sort of will offer some shade. Things like this will need to be cut back hard. They'll come away again next year, but you know, heavy prune. For me, one of my pet hates is things growing on houses, because all that happens inevitably is they grow inside, and this is a classic example of this. You can see vines that have already made their way in through the side of the house, so I'd be getting that all off. Out here on your front lawn, there's a couple of interesting things going on. Olive trees. The thing for me about having an olive tree is that if it's way up high, you just don't have any way of getting the fruit, and it'll all fall on the ground and make a mess. So I'd be inclined to take the tops out of them and bring them down a little bit and keep them definitely off the edge of the house, because olives are just going to end up in the roof and in the gutter, and yeah, it's not the place for olive oil. Little areas like this through a garden, to me, especially in this rural setting, it's great to have it kind of overgrown and a bit rustic and rough looking, but this is a whitey wood and it's a weed that's kind of come up in here, and you know, just with a bit of a tidy up and a bit of a sort out, this could be back to being really nice again. Down in front of these olive trees, this decking that I was showing you before continues, and it's absolutely beautiful really, and all of this concrete work that has been done here. Someone really has spent a lot of money doing this, and the good bit about it is because it was done so beautifully, and you know, it would be quite salvageable. You know, we could really clean this up and make this look pretty new. This concrete would just come up amazing with a bit of a water blast, or you know, maybe we leave the concrete rustic, but just treat the wood. Surrounded with it, though, are heaps of flaxes. These are all Formium cuccianum, which is your sort of mountain flax. The problem with them is they get a bit messy, so you can see down in here, once again, they're pushing into each other a lot, and there's a lot of dead stuff through there. For me, standing on your deck, I'm sort of 6 foot tall. I've lost this view through here. So I think you'd keep your front row of trees, but either heavily reduce these ones or possibly even take them right down so that you've got a much more unobstructed view from from, you know, this beautiful set of stairs you've got. So if you have a wee look down on this bank in front of the house here, we've got a whole lot more of that general mess going on. So there's quite a bit of tidying up to do down and through here, but, you know, once again, without being here with you and having you to discuss it, I wouldn't, you know, want to go pricing how far we should go, you know. I would think you could easily put 3 people in there for an entire day. You know, there is a lot going on down there, but it would really set it up for the next 5 years. You know, it would make a big difference. So anyway, noticed a bit of a retaining wall blowing out down here. Nothing major, like it's not a danger or anything like that, but it would probably be nice to fix it. And in the same breath, you know, you'd be in here anyway because you'd be tidying up all this mess in this corner. This little path that goes around here has become completely overgrown. Looks like you've got 2 really great big water tanks, which is great. So I presume you're collecting water off your roof. All I'd say to you there is that if we end up treating the moss on your roof, we would probably need to look at discharging your tanks, because I wouldn't want to be putting cleaning water into your drinking water, if you understand what I'm saying. You've got a nice big clump of blue hydrangeas here. They're actually all right, kind of big, because they're screening those water tanks. Probably what I would want to do though, and you can see they've sort of been pruned once a while ago, but I'd probably take them back down by a foot. It might sacrifice how well they flower next year, but I think overall it'd be nice just to tame this a little bit and set it up for the next few years. Another bit of a messy flax experience. This is Ligularia reniforms. It's one of my favourite plants. It's common name, tractor seat. There's a few things with this deck that I want to show you. Nothing that's serious, but stuff that I would want to point out. It's incredibly slippery. Like, see, that's like really a slip waiting to happen. So we can chemically treat this, and this is all pine. So pine's really bad for this. So it's all very black and discoloured and very, very slippery. Wow, moonwalking on out of here. I mean, we can chemically clean it, kill all this, and then deep water blast it to get it off. What it'll do though is it'll break into the pine a bit. So like, you see how it's all very soft now. So if we water blast a lot of this, it will eat into the deck. So, you know, we can give it a bit of a chemical gentle clean and let it mellow out over time. Possibly though, if you have a look at the view, it's pretty blooming incredible. It might be worth possibly looking at replacing the deck. And if you were going to do that, I'd do it in a hardwood. Something that was going to last and wasn't going to have this sort of ongoing problem. Right here you've got a fantastic little grove of mandarin trees. They need a bit of work, and there's a couple of reasons why. If you notice, if you look at the fruit, they're all absolutely tiny, which says 2 things. It says the tree's too big and they're not getting enough food. So what we need to do here is reduce these citrus trees quite heavily. In a year's time you'd go, that was the best thing we ever did, but you'd cut them back pretty hard now. You'd also use the opportunity to get on under here and fertilise them with the correct citrus fertiliser, give them a good feed, possibly even a liquid fert, make that a lot better. These here are all old Mai Tai power off the top of the power lines. All the cables used to run through these holes. These are a hardwood and these are really nice. So yeah, maybe we could just straighten this up a bit, give it a bit of a clean, and then this could be quite a nice little place to sit. When you come down here into your front lawn area, this is a really great piece of landscaping. Whoever did this really thought it through and did a lovely job. There's all these timber halves sunk into the grounds. A lot of them have rotted out, and I mean, I wouldn't propose doing anything to this until you were back, until we'd spoken on site. But you can see over here, I mean, they look really nice. Quite a few of them are rotten though, so you know, maybe we could look at freshening that up a bit. You could get some more timber. It's a pity we're not cutting any huge trees down here. We could have made them on site. And this cascading lawn area down here is beautiful. I mean, what a lovely thing to do. It's a great idea. The lawns are okay, but I mean, they're full of a lot of broadleaf and different grass varieties. If you wanted it to be amazing, you would probably just kill this off, prepare it and reseed it, but you know, that's not pressing. I'm really just showing you around. The thing I like about these little planters too is all the negative detail. See in here, someone's put a lot of time into when they poured this to, you know, set it up and make it look kind of like something. So, you know, once again, displaying things like that and having it, you know, it's worth spending that time. This little section of the garden here is lovely. There's an aki popped up there who shouldn't really be there. and then just a bit of general tidying, but probably out of all of the garden, this is the piece that you would need to do the least in. Things like this, coming onto the path, you know, things shouldn't be over paths, things shouldn't be in the way of where you walk, so I would probably cut that back. Got a couple of little sneaky treats in this corner. The lawn's not up to much, and there's a lot of weeding and sort of general garden mess to deal with. These would fall into the just take them out category because they're not really salvageable. But you've got these great little firewood bins. So I mean, anything we salvage off the property when we're cutting up, we can throw it in there for you. And I'd possibly just suggest, let us just tidy this area up, you know, like sort of spend a few hours here and just get it right again, because there's all sorts of stuff lying around. There's some junk in the shed, but nothing particularly exciting. This here is a goby block car parking area, so it's blocks with holes in them so that grass and things can still grow. I would probably recommend that we just spray this whole thing out, because it's a parking area for a boat or whatever, because it's just scruffy as it is. The frontage of the property, there's nothing wrong with it, it's perfectly fine. There's some overgrownness and there's some cleaning out to do. So the flaxes again, and I mean this thing here, this is Coprosma robusta, which is a really vigorous growing native shrub. And it's all defoliate. It's gotten too big, so I'd be tempted to take it out, or if you wanted us to, we could cut it right down here, and eventually it would just bush back out again. But it's not really right, you know, if you want to be super critical. And then the same would apply to this. This is another Coprosma in that same family. The birds just drop the seeds everywhere. They come up all over the show. So it's not really making your front entrance really pop. Just on the other side of the driveway now, the Cotoneaster, that's a weed. Once again, bird driven, lots of birds up here, so you get a lot of this. Hey, so thanks very much for coming on the garden tour with me. As you can see, there's heaps to do, so I'd love to have a talk with you on the phone really and just discuss what was important to you and what you'd like to spend, and we can figure out how to do it together. So anyway, yeah, look forward to that. Thanks for letting me see your property. It's great. You've bought a beautiful home. We'll see you later.